Does anybody else think that it's really weird that it hasn't been humid at all here in southeast Queensland? It is early October, first couple of days in October, and yet we're having summer type electrical storms and hail. So to me that rings of geoengineering and HARP and all sorts of things. Like, I've noticed the seasons have changed obviously over the last 20, 25 years or more. But even in the last year or two, things are just so much different to how they were for as long as I can remember. Like, the westerly winds used to always come in August, and now we might get, one day of them, but sometimes they end up coming in September. And these storms are just ridiculous. It's just crazy how the weather's going lately. So, yeah, just wondering if other people have been noticing these weather changes. Also, I just wanted to touch on how I began my awakening process in the last few years, if you want to call it that. I mean, I'm still on a journey, and every day I can learn or investigate and research new things, or start to sort of contemplate different things and have different views, and things can change on a daily basis. But basically, I became aware that what we had been told, what we had been indoctrinated with and led to believe for my entire life, in 2012 I came to this awareness that we're living in a crazy place, for want of better words. It all started with the Vlad laws, the vicious, lawless association laws or act that was brought in by the Queensland government, dubbed the anti-biker or anti-bikey laws, even though in the actual act itself there was no mention of biker. But I do ride a bike myself, as do members of my family, and so we got a little bit caught in the crossfire of some of these ridiculous acts and laws, the draconian laws that they were trying to bring in around that time, where you couldn't ride 3 or more people in a group, otherwise you were deemed bikies or associates, or you could be hauled in for questioning. They took away the rights of people. You were pretty much deemed guilty until proven innocent, when it should really be the other way around. And I went to a few rallies around that time, because there was people close to me that had businesses that were being shut down because they had been bikers or associated with bike clubs and things. So, and even going to these rallies and seeing the amount of people and what was going on at the rallies, and then coming home that night and watching it on the 6 o'clock news, and realising that what was being broadcast on the news was nowhere near what had actually happened at the rallies. So I started to become aware of the manipulation of the mainstream media. I knew that, I'd known for many years that they did tend to dramatise things, and I hadn't watched the news probably since the 90s or even earlier, really. I mean, I always knew that they liked dramatising and sensationalising things, but I didn't realise the full extent of it and the social engineering that goes into it until I actually was a part of it myself and realised, whoa, hang on a minute, there's more to this than meets the eye. So that was really my first sort of beginnings. This was back in 2012, 2013. And I watched the movie Zeitgeist. Some people love it, some people hate it, some people think it's a psyop, or they call it controlled opposition. Other people still see the value in the messages, the main messages that the documentary portrays. for me, it was a huge eye-opener into the banking system, the whole reserve banking and where that came from, and the fiat currency, etc., etc. The whole religious hold on society and the control and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it opened up a whole can of worms. And then from there, I started looking at chemtrails, GMOs in the food, vaccines, although vaccines had always been on my radar right since when my children were younger. My firstborn was vaccinated. My second child, I think, might have got the first wave of vaccines, but by the time she was a toddler, I had realised and didn't get any more vaccines, and then continued to not get either of them vaccinated from then on. When I had a couple of people that I knew had vaccine injured children, and I also, at the time, my mum was in a relationship with a naturopath and herbalist and homeopathist, and he opened my eyes to a whole plethora of injustices and underhanded tactics brought in by the pharmaceutical companies in the name of health for the general public. So yeah, I was really aware of what was going on from a very young age about that sort of thing. But I started to look at it with connecting all the dots with everything else that was going on around 2013, and it just fit another piece of the puzzle in for me. So, and then from there into obviously flat Earth around 2015, 2016. No, I think I was 2016. I was a bit of a latecomer to the flat Earth. But yeah, that made so much sense to me, and it was like, no, I should have realised this sooner, when you look at all the evidence. But of course, a lot of people don't want to look at the evidence. They just want to ridicule and bury their heads in the sand and think that you're an absolute nutter. And no disrespect to all my family and friends that are still globe believers. I love you all. But it's been a hard slog for me personally, losing a lot of friends and having family distance themselves from me because of my awakening and my views. And that brings in a whole other subject as well. Like, why do people get so triggered when you have a different point of view? It's all right when you're with the status quo and you're going along with what everybody else believes and what everyone else thinks and has grown up believing. But the minute you start to think outside the square, you all of a sudden become a leper, and you're on the outer and you're ostracized and yeah, you're made fun of. And yeah, it's just amazing, and it really has hit home with me what a pack mentality we actually have, and how we turn on somebody that is not towing the social line and the status quo line. And it's really disturbing, actually. And again, it all boils down to the social engineering and the programming and the brainwashing and indoctrination that we've all been subject to since birth, for generation after generation after generation. We should celebrate individuality. We should celebrate people that have their own thoughts and think outside the square and are creative enough to come up with their own ideas, and to not follow blindly what they've been told. But it seems to be the opposite, and that's all part of the wickedness, I guess, of this place that we're in. So anyway, I just wanted to share a few of my thoughts. I haven't been doing much on my YouTube channel for quite some time. Life's been busy with promoting and marketing my book, Returning Home, My Journey of a Lifetime. You can find that on Returning Home, myjourneyofalifetime.com, and my Facebook page, the same name. And I've also obviously been, dealing with my own inner growth and trying to find out where I am and what I'm doing and why I'm here. So that's an ongoing daily process, really. And also doing a bit of photography and reveling in being a nana to my little granddaughter. So, so I've taken my finger off the pulse a little bit when it comes to creating content. Not that I really had that much out there to begin with, not like some of the people that I watch. But I try and do my little bit to plant seeds wherever I can, and I'm going to try and become a little bit more proactive in that sort of thing. So, yeah. So anyway, everyone have a great weekend, and love one another, and really be open to just listening and trying to look at different points of view without being emotionally triggered. Okay, love you all. Ciao.